What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Imperfect. And guys, I have been so excited to bring this guest on. I've been following her articles in the local newspaper, the Bengal newspaper, for a minute now, and her writing is phenomenal, exciting. I've been wanting to get her on for a minute. We have her on. Kaitlyn Hart, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. That's such an intro. Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. Like, I've seen you work for the Bengal paper for what, a year now? A little bit over?
I've been so I started I think in January of 2018, so almost
Wow.
yeah, a little over 2 years maybe. Kind of
2
wild.
years. That's actually kind of, yeah, that's like time flying by.
I know. It's crazy. I graduation coming up and everything is just
Yo,
absolutely wild.
graduation. You graduate this December or what?
I'm going to be graduating in May. Fingers crossed.
Oh, in
But
May.
yeah.
In May. Yo, I feel
Yeah.
that. I feel that. Yeah, I messed up so hard because there was this math class I failed 2 times. And I was
Right.
like, yo, I'm going to pass this math class, try the third time. Guess what? Failed, right? I was like, you know what? I'll deal with it down the road. 4 or 5 years later, last semester, and I'm in this math class. I'm like, this math class determines if I pass college or not. And I'm like, yo, this is terrifying. But then coronavirus happened, and one of the positives, she was like, okay, well, since this is all crazy, we don't know how to do Zoom and all that stuff, we're going to cut all the tests and just do one exam for the remaining of the next like 3 months. I'm like,
Bro, and at
like,
home, damn, that's a win.
and yeah, and it was
That
such
is
a
a
win. Everything was so
win.
chaotic. Yeah, it was the
Oh
one
my
positive thing,
gosh.
coronavirus. Yeah.
Honestly, there was some crazy stuff that went on, especially with like classes and stuff. Because I don't know, I feel like I got gypped in some classes because of it, and then other ones I'm like, you know what? I like it better online. It's way easier.
Yeah. I feel like it is so much too. Like, how is it over there? Like, do they have in-person classes or
Yeah,
like
so
what's the structure?
they are doing in-person classes. They're also doing Zoom classes. So right now I'm taking 5 classes and 4 of them are online. One of them is in or yeah, 4 of them are online, one is in person. And so I go down once a week. Steven and I go down once a week and do like one class and then come back and we do Zoom classes. So it's just like a couple of them are I can't remember what they call it, but it's like you don't even meet via Zoom. You just work at your own pace the whole class. They just post assignments and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
It is like the
That's
weirdest
kind of
thing.
wild.
It is the weirdest thing.
I know
Like you never meet your teacher, like you never meet any of your classmates. It is wild.
it's just emails,
Yeah.
just tons of
It's just
emails.
emails and then
That's
turning in stuff before 11:59 PM.
yeah. And I heard someone like those classes that they just give you all the assignments. Like if you just grind, you could be like done with the semester's class in like a month.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
I'm taking visual rhetoric like that right now. And
visual rhetoric. That's the one.
yeah,
Yes.
that's what I'm taking right now. And if I wanted to, I could grind it all out in like 2 nights and be done. She already has the final
Yo,
projects up and everything. It's crazy.
that's wild. So it's like you
It's
do your own pace.
yeah, which like is kind of nice, but also like it's so easy to forget about
That's
because
exactly it.
because you
Yeah,
just go with
I
all these other classes that are on like a specific time and then you're like, "Oh shit, totally forgot."
yeah, exactly. That could be like one of the most terrifying things ever. Like
It's horrifying. It's so scary.
it's yeah, you're
It's
just
so
like
bad.
go to all these in-person classes and then like a month later like, "Oh my god." You go to a module and you're like, "Oh my god, I missed
Definitely
like 3 tests." Like
that's
yeah,
definitely my life right now, for sure.
yeah,
And there's, like,
we've all
other
been there,
people that
yeah.
are in the class, but, like, I've never spoken to any of them. So it's
Oh,
I don't
really?
yeah, it's
Dude,
super
that's like my
weird.
first day because I know I'm bad at like showing up. So I'll be there first thing. I'm like, hey, what's your name? Oh no, hey, can I get your number, email, text,
I do
Facebook,
the
Twitter?
same
Like,
thing.
give me your socials because I need to get a hold of you for that day I missed so I can get your notes. Like,
I do the exact same thing.
it's like,
Just so
yo,
much
you just
easier
know
that
those days
way.
are gonna happen. Facts,
Right,
facts. You gotta make friends. You know it.
right.
So, Kaitlyn, yeah, like I said, you're I would say a journalist, right? Like an official journalist. Like,
I mean, that's a really nice term. I try my best at being a journalist, I guess. I'm the life editor at the Bengal, so I'm in charge of pages 5, 6, and 7. Um, sometimes, whether we have an opinion column or not. But yeah, the Bengal is a really fun place to work at. Everybody there is super awesome, super nice. We've never had any crazy fights or anything, so that's good. But
Well,
yeah,
that's
being a
good. You're like,
journalist.
no, I get this story. Like, nah, like I
Exactly.
write this story. Yeah.
Exactly. There's no crazy newsroom stories. Everybody gets along, and we just got a new editor in chief this year, and he's doing awesome. He's been on the papers
So,
even longer than me. He started out, his
oh,
name's Jacob.
really?
Yeah, his name's Jacob Guttridge. He started out, I believe, as photo editor, or maybe a staff photographer, and then he was photo editor, and now he's our production, or yeah, now he's our production editor until we find a new one, and then he's also editor in chief. So he's grinding pretty hard. Along with school too.
Yeah, those are
He's a
like big
senior.
guns.
Yeah. No, yeah, he's I don't know how he
Wow.
does it.
Yeah, that's
I have
like
no
a
idea.
lot.
It's a lot. I don't know
It's
how he
kind
does
of
it.
wild. Yeah, that's kind of wild. But yo, I mean, that's the grind. That's what you got to do, especially when you're keeping track of. I mean, how many like people are writing there? Like, is there a
So,
lot? A couple of you guys?
there's a good amount. So we have, I think right now we have 4 staff writers and we have 5 editors. So along with we
Wow.
have like a photo editor who's in charge of getting all of our photos taken. He's amazing, by the way. His name's Brandon, and he is just absolutely incredible. He went up to where the fires were behind all of those houses in Pocatello and somehow got on top of like a building and took photos of the planes from like on top. It was crazy. He is absolutely incredible.
Yo, that's next level.
It
That's
is wild.
crazy. Like, that's really cool. That's
It's
really
absolutely,
cool.
he's so good. And he's a nursing major too. And so he's doing nursing and photography at the same time. It makes no sense, but
What?
there's some
Yo,
pretty wild
shouts to him
people.
doing it all.
Honestly,
I know you got to meet some people.
he's really working hard. It's crazy.
That's a good grind. So, like, what made you want to like join this world of like writing and being a chief editor and all that?
So I think that mainly when I was younger, so I grew up in a big Irish Catholic family, like huge family, everybody talking at the same time. So pretty much every
Right.
night we'd all end up at like the dinner table talking and telling stories and stuff. So I kind of just always grew up like that, just talking and telling stories and pitching in wherever possible. But I think that's just kind of where I got my little niche for writing and telling stories is just from that. And throughout, elementary school and high school, I've always just written, whether it was academically or personally, just for myself. I've just always found like a stress reliever. Most of the time, unless I'm writing about politics, then it's definitely not a stress reliever. But uh, and then I got really lucky. I was taking a political communication class my sophomore year, and I met Madison Shumway, who was the life editor before me. And she told me that she just came up to me one day and said, "Hey, I've been reading some of your stuff you've been writing for this class, and I'm graduating, so I think you should apply to work for the Bengal." And I was like, "What's the Bengal?" And she was like, "It's the newspaper." And I was like, "Oh, no, I didn't know. I had no idea." And so then I got in touch with Lucas Gebhardt, who was the editor in chief at the time. He works for like the biggest news company in Boise now. It's wild. Um,
That's wild.
I think it's maybe not KPVI. Oh, I'd have to look it up. But he got in contact with me and gave me the email to the editor in chief that was going to be the runner up. And I interviewed with Logan Ramsey, and he gave me the job. And I was like, as life editor, even though I was only interviewing to be a staff writer. So I was like,
That's wild.
sick. Like I'm down.
Right? You probably recognize his talent when you see him. You know
I
what
was
I'm
like,
saying?
it
Like,
was it was awesome. And then I've been there ever since. So it's been a really good job.
that's really cool. And Idaho State University, like, they really do produce people that go out and do amazing things. Like, not like I know there's a couple celebrities that made it to like big things working for like SpaceX and like the
Right.
big companies out there. But there's also people that are like getting 6-figure checks. That
Right.
I'm like, man, you went to Idaho State, like. Just the other day I went to the barber and I'm talking about Idaho State. Oh, dude, I graduated from there. I'm like, what? A barber? What do you mean? He's like, I went through Mass Comm. I was like, what? How did I miss you? Somehow we missed each other's paths. But now he is so good at cutting hair. He flies from Vegas to Idaho and all over the place cutting hair. And I'm like a barber out of Idaho State.
That is so
you
cool.
know?
And there's people
Yeah.
all
So
over like
it's
that too. There's so many people at
yeah,
the lab,
legit.
like out at Idaho National Lab, that went through all of their schooling in Idaho and went to ISU and then came out and now they're working at a nuclear lab. Like, I meet so many people. I'm doing an internship right now with them, and I would say probably like half of the people I work with right now have something to do with
Oh
ISU.
my God.
It's wild.
Yo, see, that's next level. It is wild. So like when you go to Idaho State and you're working for the Bengal, like where do you see yourself leaving Idaho State and leaving the Bengal? Like where do you want to go?
So I'm not 100% sure yet, just because there's like so many things you can do with a communications degree. And especially since I have an emphasis in journalism and my minor is in visual media, I kind of made it so that I can do whatever I'm feeling like when I graduate. And so, I mean, I don't ever want to go into something where I'm just working in an office and like being sad all day. And so I think what I'm trying to lean towards is broadcast media. So right now I'm in a class TV
Ooh,
programming where we're making our own like shows and we get to use the studio at ISU, which is crazy nice.
amazing.
It is
Incredible studio.
it
Yeah.
is top notch. I am so surprised I haven't ever been in there before. Um,
I know.
it
It's
is
like hidden right there through that
crazy.
hallway. And you're like,
Hundreds of
wait,
thousands of
what? This big
dollars.
old green screen?
And the
Yeah,
whole like
it's a big
control
deal.
room, it is wild. It is so nice. But so I think I would want to go into broadcast news. The dream, the absolute dream would be late night TV. I think that would be so much fun.
Oh,
I think that'd
oh,
be
that would
so
be a
fun,
blast.
right?
That would be
Stephen
wild,
Colbert,
yo.
Samantha Bee. That's the
Yo,
dream.
that would be the
That's the dream.
yo, chase it. Chase it,
Honest,
yo. Get it
I'm
done.
trying my best. Right now I'm making a like a weekend update kind of thing for my TV programming class. So trying
Let's
to
go.
trying to get that done. So it'll be fun. I'm really
That's really
excited.
cool.
Hopefully I'll make it
So wouldn't
somewhere
that
in
be
that vicinity.
so that'd be based in like New York or is it LA?
I think either one. I think Jimmy Fallon maybe films in
It's in New
California,
York, I think.
and
Oh,
then
California.
and then I think Stephen Colbert films in New York, but I could be wrong.
Right. Okay, yeah, yeah. But like you'd be okay living in a big
Oh, I
city
would
like that.
love to. I would absolutely love to live there.
Really?
Yeah.
Pocatello to the big city, yo.
Yes. 100%.
That's wild. Like it would be. I mean, I always dreamed of New York, and I actually got a chance to fly out there and went out there and see it. And it's just like being born and raised. Then you go out and see things like that. You're like, it's just
New World.
a different world. It's unreal,
Yeah.
like unreal. Seeing that many people on the streets and that highest skyscrapers, like
Yeah.
you're just this little person walking through. Like,
I think the biggest city I've ever been to is I was in LA for like 10 minutes, but I just
yo,
I want to live in a big city. That is the dream. There's somewhere up
that's
like so
cool.
many opportunities out there. I think it's awesome, and I love Pocatello and Idaho Falls as well. But
Yeah. And you being a journalist and having the background that you have, I mean, New York and LA is going to be, I mean, if you want
where
to
all the
make it big
stories
and make
are,
great money, yeah, that's where everything's at, yo.
right? Yeah, that's
So
where all the
it'd be
opportunities
wild.
are.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, because like you're writing, so going back to your articles, I've been reading a lot of your articles since you've done one on me, of
Right, that
course.
was awesome. Thanks for letting me do that.
Uh, Absolutely. That was super fun. That was the first time I got to meet you and you were super professional, super
Thank you.
creative with your questions. And yeah, it was awesome. It was an awesome experience. I'm like, I eventually got to get this girl on the podcast years ago. But
Thank you.
aside, of course, but aside from that, I've been following your articles and you came out with this really interesting article, which really prompted to like, hey, let's get this done because I want to talk about this article that you wrote. Beautiful, amazing article
Thank you
because
so
it
much.
pointed out some amazing, yeah, absolutely. But it pointed out some amazing facts about YouTube. I
Right.
can't remember the exact title of it, but it was something. Do you remember the title?
Yeah, don't count on getting big on YouTube.
Don't count on getting big on YouTube. Absolutely big. So, like, my first question to you is do you watch YouTube content?
Yes, yes. Most of my
So,
free time is probably spent watching YouTube, I would say.
so, so what kind of creators do you like to watch?
So I am super boring. So I like to watch like vlogs of like, but not like the vlogs that the kids watch. I watch vlogs of like like Colleen Ballinger, Miranda Sings has like a daily vlog,
Oh,
and I watch her every
amazing,
day, every single
amazing.
day. I used to watch Jenna Marbles every day until she stopped posting, and I was
Yeah,
very sad about it.
yeah.
I was so sad.
OG,
Um,
OG YouTuber.
Honestly, I've been watching her since probably 2010. like
Oh my
over 10
gosh.
years. It's been
Yo,
wild.
that's dope. That's
I know.
crazy.
And I guess I used to watch a lot of Shane Dawson too until he stopped posting. But yeah, just
Yeah.
kind of my mom is really obsessed with like family vloggers, like those people out of Utah that like film their kids and like what they do with their
Yep.
kids and families all
You
day.
mentioned in your article, yeah.
Right. Like the what are they called? The Bingham family. They are
Yes,
huge. They are absolutely huge. It's
they
like
are
it just
huge.
YouTube is just such an interesting like media platform for content because literally anyone can do it. Like
Mhm.
anybody with a camera can do it. But I think it's interesting that people think that you can just take your cell phone and like set it up on your desk and just talk to it and you're going to get thousands and thousands of subscribers, which is
Yeah,
not true. I have tried
I
it. It is
know.
not true.
That's right. It's
Tested, it fails every time.
yeah, it's like that's what the mass media likes to say is like YouTuber, spends all this money buying big home and this and that, and it's just like, it's like the fronts. Yeah, when you're watching like these family channels, they look cute and they look fun, but there's a completely unrecognizable, like just huge strategy behind that. The branding, the marketing, to making sure how the edit's going. There's a rhythm in editing to make sure that it captures people's attention within 15, 20 seconds of the video.
Right.
There's all of these things that take into account. Like, of course, it might not be the people that are actually creating content, but they definitely have editors and people that do keep track of that stuff. Like it sometimes can be a whole massive production. Like, I mean, the family vloggers and everyone that you just mentioned, almost all of those people send, when they've done filming for the day, send it off to their editor and they put the whole thing together. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Exactly.
like,
And there's so many
it's a
more
massive
people
thing.
that go into that than people think. Most of these people have assistants and they have interns and they have video production editors and they have sound people. And you just don't ever see that
Yeah.
because, when you watch a video, they're not going to want to show the people behind the camera. And so
Yes.
I just think it's so interesting that like there's a whole business side to being on YouTube that people don't realize that is
Hmm.
so hard to get to that I would be, so surprised if these people didn't have a background in business already that are so big on, even Instagram, TikTok,
Yes.
YouTube, all of that kind of stuff. Is just there's so much more to it than just like
Exactly.
talking to your phone for an hour.
Exactly. And you made a good point. Like, there's a part in your paper, I'm going to go ahead and say, and I love it. And it says, if you're going to try and tell me that there has never been a point in your life that you have considered dropping out of school, spending your life savings on a film camera and a ring light and trying to make it big on YouTube, you're a liar and I don't trust you.
I think it's true.
That it's so clever. You're a liar and I don't, because it's so facts how many people that you hear that. And like,
Right.
there's just a society where like people, I mean, even my brother, 12, 13 years old, he's really good at games. I'll give him that. He's amazing. But at the same time, when he's all like, I want to like drop out of school and like do all this stuff and play video games 24/7, I'm like, bro, calm down. Like you ain't no ninja or Tifu or Courage JD. You
Right.
gotta, like
Oh,
there's a thing I think kids are like missing is like they don't know how to do, they need to learn at least how to do two things at once, right? Like
yeah.
you can try to get big on YouTube and stuff like that, but you also have to fulfill your other obligations like graduating school, going to
Right.
school. But when you get home, do whatever you want.
And you
Like,
need to have a job to be able to buy the things you need to be on YouTube. You need to be able to buy microphones and headsets and streaming equipment and everything. And it's just something people don't think about. I just think it's absolutely wild is what it is.
it is absolutely wild. And people like they want, I mean, to be a creator, like it's a whole just another level, especially when it comes to making it there. You might know, of course, if you watch YouTube, right? I'll tell you right now, 90% of my content from YouTube every day, every time I eat, edit,
Me too.
even when I'm working, it's like it's always YouTube content. And then of course at night when you go to bed, it's like Netflix, Hulu, whatever, right?
Right.
But watching that content, it's like, or going back to like I said, Mr. Beast, right? Mr. Beast, huge YouTuber, right?
Right.
Absolutely amazing. And with Mr. Beast, he was uploading to YouTube for don't quote me on this, but I know for at least 5
Long
years
time.
before he got big. Years before he
Long
got big, just
time.
uploading content. And it took him that long. And that's next level dedication.
Right. No, I agree for
Like
sure. And then
So
there's
like,
like,
because you mentioned,
sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, there's like people like you said earlier, like Ninja and PewDiePie and all these people, and to the viewers, it looks like they're just sitting there playing video games. But it's like there is so much more to that.
Mhm.
There's sponsorships, there's all the equipment you need, you have to be good at the games, which takes a lot of
Mhm.
time. Um, it's just like it is so much harder than people think, and especially the older generations, I think they kind of see it as everybody wanting to be on YouTube is lazy. They just want to sit at
Right.
their desk and they want to talk about their day, or they want to do a TikTok dance or something. And it's like it's so much work. I've never
Yeah.
done it. I'm not internet famous. I never will be. But it's
But
like,
have you tried it though?
oh yeah, for
Have you
sure.
tried it?
For sure. Yeah.
Really?
Oh,
Is your
for
YouTube
sure.
content still up there?
No. No.
Let's
No. It is deleted from the hard drive for sure.
go.
Oh, long gone,
Nice.
long gone.
Right.
But
So like, yeah, I feel that. I feel that a lot. Like I have like a very interesting past. Like I won't go into super big detail, but when I started on YouTube, I was the same, right? I was watching YouTube probably a little bit before, right during the time that Google bought it, which you also mentioned in your article, right? Long
right,
time ago, 2006, I believe,
I think so.
right? And I remember playing games, and at one point, I was getting a little bit of traction. Like, I can tell you now, like that channel got up to 1 million+ views, total views. So I got
Crazy. That's
some
awesome.
traction, but I used to sit, right? It was fun, but at the time I was, 12, 13, 14, and I had just bought this little thing called the Dazzle, and you can plug it into the TV and record your gameplay. And I got this little mic that you can commentate over. I don't even think commentary was like over gaming was like, PewDiePie was blowing up, but it still was like definitely people didn't know what it was.
Right.
But I was uploading to YouTube and I was doing a thing. But what pushed me away, especially when I got into high school, is I would be uploading gaming content and YouTube would strike it down all the time. Gaming companies hated when their content was uploaded on YouTube. Like nobody ever talks about this, but for years, like this was a problem. I'd make this awesome video and all this content upload, and Call of Duty strikes it down, and this game called Thief strike it. Like all these games will just strike this content down, and I'm like this is pointless because every time I make it, it will get a little bit of traction, like 2, 3, 4,000 views, and then it'd be like cut down.
And it's gone.
Because at the time, yeah, companies hated when their games. But now look how different it is when gaming companies are encouraging you to do it. You have consoles like the PlayStation 4 that has a share button, and the PS5 will do the same, where you can share the content straight to YouTube, Facebook. They want you to share content now. And I'm like, I think I quit at the worst time because things were just
You were ahead
shifting
of
to
the curve.
change.
You knew before they did.
Yeah, it was, they're like, there's big gamers at the time, like I said, PewDiePie and all those people, but like it was just so much harder to
Right.
actually create content. And now it's like YouTube has finally worked it out where you upload a Fortnite video and underneath it'll say, Fortnite game. So that way Epic gets traction from that, that video or
Right.
whatever, but also gives the content creator to create whatever they want.
Exactly. And YouTube, I think, in the past couple of years has had a lot of problems with, you know, I I don't even know the word. Like just looking over their content and deciding what's okay to put on YouTube and what's not okay to put on YouTube. And I wrote about it a
Right.
little bit in my article, not a lot, but they had the whole thing with like children's videos. So like these family bloggers, most of them I think are out of
Yeah.
Utah, are losing so much money because their videos where they show their kids are not getting monetized because there's so many pedophiles and creepy people on the internet, like commenting things underneath them or screenshotting their faces and putting them in scary places on the internet. And it's like,
Yeah.
I saw an argument online that it's unfair for them to punish the YouTubers that are doing this content instead of the creepy pedophile people. Which I get the point.
Exactly.
Exactly. I get the point where they would strike commenting and notifications for, just to keep commenting and keep the pedophiles from being publicly like that. And so other kids don't see it.
Yeah.
But there has to be another way for these people to still publish content and be able to make a living other than just taking away like their
Their
interactions with
stuff.
their fan base.
Yeah. So like the first question I have with like that story, like is because I remember seeing that. I never was a part of it, didn't follow family vloggers when that was happening. But of course, when that started happening, YouTube started cutting it and take away monetization, which, people will know monetization means they make money from that video. So if they take that away, there's no money. But I remember reading just the screenshots of what was happening in the YouTube comments, and it was like the most stuff like I've ever read. It's just
Really
like,
bad.
people just being like commenting to other people saying some messed up shit like, oh, 25 seconds in, this is where a good shot. I'm like, bro,
Yeah,
what is this? Like,
it's
so
really
I
bad.
get YouTube, like, yeah, we can't give them that platform to sit there and talk so publicly on such an open platform. But at the same time, like you said, and I love that part in the article when they said where the family vloggers, that family wants to communicate with their audience, but they can't through YouTube because of shit like that. And I got curious. I did look up that family on Instagram, and like everything's open over there, so you can go over that. But it's a little bit more difficult as we talk about, engagement and conversion, to be able to watch a YouTube video, then open up your phone, go to their Instagram, and comment something to. That's too much for a conversation. They just want to
Right.
scroll down and comment. So it's interesting, but
It's just a
like,
lot of steps to go through, and it's just interesting that I guess this has been a problem since YouTube was created too. Like, YouTube comments have always just been where people know there's just a cesspool of, like, negativity and just disgusting people. So it's not even that it's new, it's just that family vlogging and, like, kids content on YouTube is relatively new. And so I think people just don't know what to do with these people coming out of, like, the woodwork and people being super gross and super awful towards
yeah,
these people who are just trying to, you know, make these videos for them to look back on when they're older, when their kids are older, and they can
mm,
make some money off of it as well. And it's something that they enjoy doing, and it sucks that that has to be ruined by people who just see so much negativity in things that are supposed to be so wholesome.
exactly. And I mean, we reward people for being negative. Like it's like the whole top comment system, right? Is whoever can come up with the most clever, funny, smart, but almost always negative piece of, a perfect sentence. They want that because then everybody else goes and likes it, and then that top comment gets rewarded as like this great video. But then you go look at the top comment, and it's something negative or bad, or oh, look at this person, they look fat as this person, and it's just like, why?
Exactly.
It's like we reward these people for being negative and terrible.
Exactly.
It's I
Exactly.
don't
And
know.
I think, I mean, part of being a journalist is we want to use our platform to be able to, like, amplify the voices of people who might not already have a chance to be heard by the public. But the fine line, the part where it gets difficult, is when people are saying things just to be negative and saying things to hurt people out of, nowhere, with no context or anything. And so it makes it hard. It's the hardest part of the job, I think, is to differentiate when people are being negative just to be negative, and which voices to amplify, because obviously we want to amplify everybody's voices. We want to give everybody a platform. We want to tell everybody's stories. But sometimes, there's people who try and take advantage of that, just by being negative, especially, there's a whole YouTube comment thing again, is that people are trying to be
Yeah,
negative online just to be negative. And I think that's just inherently the problem with social media. But I don't know what to do. I don't
yeah,
know what there would be to do about it, but it just sucks.
right. It's just a pos. Yeah, it does. It's just a positive and a negative where you can get so much love and so much greatness, but also so much negativity.
Right.
It's just it's all about clickbait. I mean, clickbait's been around even before YouTube. It's always been what's the most biggest article or the biggest thing we can get people's attention, and we just stir up all this negative concept, and then people share misinformation or false information or just their opinions. And it's just giving people platforms is such a great thing, like you said, but it can be such a daunting thing as well, because now we give everyone these platforms to share their negativity, be their negativity, and convince other people to join their negativity, which is what we're seeing a lot right now. It's just I'm
Exactly.
pissed off, come be pissed off with me, so this group grows. And now everybody's
Exactly.
pissed off, like
It's just the whole
like
beehive
it's
mentality. If one person is negative and upset about something, they're gonna go off to somebody else and make them upset about it. And I mean, it's good to be,
absolutely
like, aware of negative things that are happening, but then again, with social media, it's just like it's like never ending. It just keeps getting
right,
more and more negative, and so it's
right,
a hard cesspool to get out of sometimes.
right. And so like, and one thing we skipped over too was so these family, because you watch, what's the family channel's name?
I think my mom watches. This is
Um,
how we Bingham. That's
this
her
is how we
name.
be.
This is how we
That's
Bingham.
good. I know the biggest family, like, the Ace family. I think they're
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
the,
Yep,
the top.
they're what everybody wants to be.
Yeah, exactly. But like, what do you think? Because there's been a lot of stuff about that and other people as well. I mean, we're talking about how people react to this content. What do you think about the content itself? Do you like? I mean, I would just ask you: is if you could build a platform with if you ever had kids, would you do similar type things and broadcast their lives and your lives and share that, or do you think there's a right, wrong way? Like,
I mean, it's really interesting. I never would think without all of these people doing it already to, film my family and put it online. Maybe if it was like just for friends and family, like Snapchat is a good way to do that. Like send videos of what we're doing to people who live far away, close family members who live across the country. It's an easy way to communicate with them. But I think like I admire the amount of work that goes into family vlogging because being able to raise a family and also film them every day and also edit everything and make, intros and conclusions and finding a way to make
mm,
every day of your life interesting to millions of people sounds really, really hard, especially if you're also working another job, which a lot of these family vlogger parents are doing, is they're working like a normal day job and then they come home and they're switching off cameras with their spouses and they're filming their families and family game nights and all of this stuff. Um, but I also sometimes think that it might be kind of dangerous just because of the
right,
whole children on the internet debacle. Um,
right.
which I think that is just something that comes with the territory. But I don't think I would do it just because I'm super anxious about like the dark places on the internet. but
Right.
but I think I
Yeah.
mean I really admire the people that do it. And I'm sure they have safety precautions. I know that YouTube is trying their best to keep the like children on YouTube safe and children's content uh okay for kids to watch. But it's really an interesting career choice, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Like, cause like I mean, even I, like, I'll stumble upon the Ace Family or one of their vlogs, and it's like, it's super wholesome and fun and cute. And, like 99.9% of the time, the kids love it. And they're just like, giving their sass to the camera. And it's like,
Right,
even though they may not fully know what they're doing, it's still, like you said, I guess there is a balance there, but it is wholesome, great content. Like, I absolutely do love the content. But I mean, and it's also like the conversation of like, we always post pictures of our family, right? Even us, like we post pictures of ourselves everywhere,
right,
all over our home and out and about. And, even put our location, like the top of Instagram, you can put where you're at. Like I'm at this hotel. Like, we do a lot of open stuff already.
right.
So, I was just curious because there has been a little bit of controversy of just like families posting like their kid content. But like you said, I think there is a way to do it safely and smartly because they're, I don't know. Do you know who Casey Neistat is?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We watch his
Okay.
vlogs, or
Abs-
we've started watching his vlogs recently since he started
his
posting
vlog,
again.
he's vlogging again. Yes. But I love it because he has, God, like if I were to be a family vlogger, I would love how he does it. He always kind of puts them in the vlogs, but like he said, like even though he knows there's videos, pictures of his kid's face out there, like he just doesn't encourage it. So he'll like get shots of them, but it's always these amazing angles where like
Right.
you see them, but you never see their face,
It's
And
awesome.
I'm like, that's like it's cool,
It's
right? So
impressive.
it is impressive. It's like a whole nother ball game.
I know Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard. Do you know them? They're both
Okay, yeah,
actors.
oh yeah,
They do the same
huge,
thing. So they recently came out with like a company that makes like diapers, and I think they're like biodegradable, all biodegradable like baby products and stuff. And so they post pictures of their kids a lot, but they never show their faces. So either their kids are turned around or they put like a sticker over the kid's face or something. And it's just it makes me wonder how differently these family vloggers and people like Kristen Bell think about like safety on the internet and like
hmm,
which resources they're using to learn about it. It's really interesting to
right,
me.
yeah, it is like. I mean, I had a project right when I was finished. I was about to get out of college. A vlogger, this female vlogger that was a foster mom, wanted me to film like a whole vlog for her and her kids.
Oh, that's cool.
And she's like, "Yeah." So we go over there, we film it and all. But like when we got done, she was like, "Hey, like just try to like if you can blur out the shots that they're in and stuff like that." And I had to go in and frame by frame by frame blur their faces as they would move, so the blur would follow their face the entire time. It was like a 15-minute vlog, way too much work for the money. But
It's a lot of work.
it was, and I was telling her about it, and I think she only did like a couple more because she found out really quickly how difficult that can be. Like, she was okay, she's like awesome and being smart. She's trying to make this content, this wholesome content. It was fun. I don't know if she's trying to make a living out of it, but just trying to do it for fun. But to realize how hard it is to keep, because when you're a foster mom, you legally can't show your kids' faces,
Right.
right? So like, she can't show their faces at all. And so going in there and getting a video and all these pictures that she's sharing, the content, you have to blur their faces. It's
Right.
again, like we said earlier, like they don't think about the heaviness and the hard work that goes into things like this.
And the internet in general, just anything you do on the internet is so hard. It is just so much work. And I think people just don't realize how much work goes into, even if you're not doing video production, people that do blogs, you have to create a whole design and a whole theme for your blog. You have to, find the right people. You have to find your niche. You have to find people that are going to engage in your blog. You have to create an audience. There's so many different aspects that goes into it that a lot of people think is just laziness, but in reality, it's like it takes like a whole ass business degree to do most of this stuff.
It really does. Like, there's so much learning. Like I said myself, like, I've been uploading content to YouTube for 13, 14 years now. Started as a gamer, then vlogging, and then dance vlogs, and then travel, and then back to gaming, and did all these different things. And like, some channels got a little bit of traction, and almost all of them did not. But like,
It's hard.
but it was just like, it's extremely hard, because I think like the thing is people don't realize, like, to build a brand, that's
Right.
like the most difficult thing, is building a character that the internet will love, engage with, vibe with, connect with, being that character, having those same characteristics every single episode, including having a solid upload schedule.
Right.
Like, if you don't upload consistently, there's no way.
People are going to get
The
bored.
market is exactly. They'll get bored. They'll click off. The market's so oversaturated, it'll be forgot about in a week, like, or less. Honestly,
Exactly.
Do you think there's a way that you could get big on YouTube? Do you think there's a way that, or like,
oh man,
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I think that, so even though I'm doing an emphasis in journalism, at ISU, you end up taking a lot of classes based around advertising, based
all
around,
math yeah.
right, based around marketing, based around all that stuff. And I think that creating a brand is something that is really difficult and is something that people don't think a lot about. But I think that, I don't know. I mean, we're trying to start to do video production at the Bengal. It was kind of our plan for this year, was we were going to upload video content. We were going to do video interviews, but then COVID kind of squashed that idea. Hopefully, hopefully some of our staff writers that are going to still be there next year will take that upon them. But hopefully the Bengal can get big on YouTube. I don't think I will, just because I think I'm better.
Right.
I'm better on paper and behind the camera than I am on camera. But
I feel that.
It's just, I think, back to the branding thing, it is such a hard skill to acquire, to be able to market yourself. And most of these people on YouTube are working by themselves when they're first starting. Like, I'm sure you were working pretty much by yourself when you first started. So you're trying to market yourself to the public. You're trying to make yourself into a brand, which is so hard to do. I mean, these big companies have whole marketing teams, a whole team to come up with a brand, an idea of what you're going to be, like what people are going to think of when they see you, when they watch your videos, what kind of mood they want to be in. It's so much more than just, I want to go on and I want to show people what my outfit looks like today. Like,
exactly.
It is so much.
And like, I thought like the biggest, craziest thing when I joined mass communications and I was at Idaho State is I was in a part of a group called INSAC, and we actually got to go view ad companies and things like that. Absolutely blew my mind on how much money companies are paying ad agencies, but how much work. Like, you walk through these big ad companies, ad agencies, and they're like, here's our video production, here's our journalist, here's our creative writing, here's this. And they have all these people. They're like, Nike came in and now we're all, writing up a whole marketing thing that's like 50 pages of how, what the new logo is going to mean to them, what's going to resonate with them, what commercials we're going to use, what verbiage we're going to use. Like, it's absolutely insane. Like, it
And
takes
matters.
crazy.
Every little detail, down to like where the comma is in the sentence of your log line,
Yeah.
matters. Everything, every color, every placement of every logo, everything matters. And it is so interesting, especially because when I first started, so I started out college as a sociology major because in high school I took a sociology class and my teacher was like, don't be a sociology major. And I was like, screw you. So I became a sociology major. And then I was like, he was right, this isn't working. And so I went and met Zach Gershberg, and
Oh yeah.
that was kind of the turning point for my entire life, was meeting Zach Gershberg, because
That man.
I met him and we talked about his background, and I was like, oh shit, that is exactly what I want to do. Like, that is, like, it just kind of clicked. And so I enrolled to be a communications major. And then when I would tell people that, it was like, oh, so you picked the easy major. And I was like, what? No. And for the first year or so, I was like, okay, maybe I did pick the easy major because I was doing gen eds and didn't know any better.
Yeah.
But now that I'm a senior, I'm like, I definitely didn't pick the easy major. I don't know what the easy major is, but it isn't this. And it's something that bothers me so much, because people do not realize how much goes into, influencing the media and
Absolutely.
creating content, making a brand, marketing yourself is such hard work.
Right. So it's like, I mean, it's simple like this. Like, a prime example is you're like building a website. Okay. Like, if you're a web designer or a graphic designer, right, you're thinking about like the design or a layout or something. When you build a website, it's like, oh yeah, you can go to build a website, going to go to Wix.com, blah, 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 whatever. Right. But it's like, it's much more complicated, because that's what people think. Like, oh, you have to create a video, or you have to take a picture, or you have to, people think it's always like a snap of a thing, or it's quick, but they don't think about how intricate, like you said earlier, about like the commas, right? Like, a website is built. They like, literally, we spent, weeks in a class, talking about how when people click on your website, you better have your logo, your name, and everything right at the top of the page. Like,
Exactly.
you want to have it so people do not click away. You want to pull them in from the first 3 seconds. And that takes a lot of thinking, because you're like, okay, I'm a wedding videographer. I better not have all my real estate on the front of my website, because then I have to go and find the wedding section on my website. We don't want that, because we know the primary, which can come into another thing, demographic. Who's our demographic? Who's coming to our page? How quickly are they going to do? If it's older people, we probably want big boxes on the front of the screen. If it's younger people, they know how to navigate with the tabs and all that kind of stuff, so we can do it a little bit more intricate. But you have to realize all that stuff to build that. Just like you work for the Bengal newspaper. So I'd realize the demographic there's probably 18 to 25, I'm assuming, because all the college students are 18 to 25. Right. So you're going to be writing about YouTube. You're going to be writing about these things that people know. But if you try to write that same article and give that to someone that's maybe, 55, 60 plus, they're like, what's a family channel? What does that even, they don't understand. And so you just missed your target. You just lost a potential client to read your newspaper. People don't think about these things.
Right. And it's hard to find your target audience, I think, especially if you're coming up into the internet world and trying to get big. And in mass comm, we do like eye tests for people, like to see, we give them our website and we see where their eye goes first. And it's like, there's so many different things that you need to know. And we take web design. I'm sure you took web design. Web design was my worst nightmare. Web design.
That was my worst nightmare. Did you have it with the guy that wears the hat all the time? I can't remember his name.
Carr, yeah.
Isn't it Carr?
Carr.
I love him, but man, bro, that
class destroyed my GPA. I won't lie, it completely destroyed my GPA. It is like, I originally, when I signed up for web design, I was like, oh cool, like I'm gonna get to put like colors on a website and like make a logo. No, we legitimately learned how to code. Like, coding.
That's
whole
what
class.
I'm like, why did nobody put this in the description of the class? I thought this was going to be like, go to Wix.com and choose a template.
Exactly. I would much rather have chosen a template. I spent so many hours in the sub building with I can't remember her name, but she was amazing. She was in my group, thank God. She's the only reason I
Yeah,
passed.
when you make like a website.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
thank
had
God.
to get a client and make them a website, and it is so
Yeah.
hard. I don't know how people do that. It is like that is the one thing in the whole mass communication and media that I can't get behind. I can't do
Yep.
it. My brain doesn't work that
Absolutely.
way.
I mean, that's like the creative mind. Like, we'd rather go to Wix.com and it's just like drag and drop. You can move everything rather than when
Right.
coding, you're like, okay, negative XYZ for this, and it pops up here with
Exactly.
this transition.
You have to put like a code to move it to
My
the
website
left
was
and then
a
a
wreck.
separate code to make it smaller and oh,
I don't think my last website was even like movable. It was
mine
just
wasn't
kind of like a
either.
still image.
Mine was horrible. I
It's
don't know
like,
how I
C
made it.
minus,
I
I'll
was in
take it.
his
I'm out.
office like once a week and he eventually was just like, "Look, there's no hope. Just get through it." I was like, "Okay."
See, at least he's honest, and that's why I love him, because he's such a cool
He's
professor, but
he's
like he
so
keeps it
cool.
real.
He's so nice. Like
Yeah.
he really tried to help me. It was just there was no hope for that one.
I know, he looks at your code. Yeesh.
I
Like,
know,
what
and
is
he's
this?
like, he just completely bleeds all over the paper. He's like, "No, this is not gonna
Just
work."
so much red ink. You're just
It's
like, I
just so
failed.
hard. It is just the hardest class. It is
Yeah.
not the
So you
easiest
see though,
major.
exactly. Like, there's so, and that's just
That
like,
is
that's one
proof.
avenue. That is
Right.
proof. Exactly.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
these are the just difficult things in mass communications that people will not realize. It can be simple. Like a photographer. I grew up like, there's a joke in Family Guy, and it's like, oh, every hot girl thinks they're a photographer because they can aim a camera, and you're like, that's
Right.
true. Not really. Like, it is when you actually pay attention to the mass communication industry, and you're just like, no, photography is so different. Like, I know, like when I shoot weddings, when I see photographers, like when I tell people, like for instance, right, I shoot videography. That's what I do. And when I go shoot weddings and things like that, and I'm talking to photographers and they're like, oh, you take pictures? No, I don't know a thing about photography. Yeah, but it's the same buttons on your camera. Yes, it is. But photography is different because of how they know how to angle people, right? They know how to do this and chin up and no neck and spin this way and a bokeh in the right hand, because they know what looks good on the final image. As for
Right.
videography, I feel like, you're capturing a lot more of the realistic life, and it's just a little bit different because it's movement. It's not a
You have
still
to account
image.
for the movement, right.
Exactly. So it's like there's just stuff like that. Again, just adding to your statement about how difficult it actually is. And this sounds stupid, but when you're getting paid for a job, they expect the best. And when you show up and your website's not working, or your photography picture has, her hair's flying all over her face, or whatever it is, like there is these small things that you have to actually learn how to fix and get
Exactly.
get greater.
Yeah, and that's again, I mean, I'm not saying obviously mass communication is not the hardest major at ISU. I'm positive. But I think people need to
Yeah.
realize that each avenue of whatever career you decide to go in is going to have difficulties. And especially there's just so many little details that you have to take care of when in any of the communication paths you decide to take, whether it's journalism, advertising, marketing, video production. There's so many things.
Mm.
I mean, just editing a video is hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of work.
Yeah.
It is
They think
so
it's like a
much.
snap of your finger.
No, it is so much time. It is like I took a TV video production, I think, from John Young, and we took like
John
a
Young.
I think you might have been in that class. I can't remember, but
I probably was.
we took
Yeah, I
like
took it.
a
I know for sure.
we went to like a museum. We went to the museum on campus and like filmed
Oh,
the
yeah.
girl.
You filmed, I can't remember her name, but yeah,
I
you
don't
did that
either.
thing for
She
her
about
raising
dinosaurs.
money, or they yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
And they like did the website.
And
Yeah.
then we all got the footage and everybody had to edit their own video. And everybody's videos
Yeah.
were completely different, but took
Same
so
video,
long.
same audio.
Exact same
Yep.
audio, exact same program, exact same time limit. Like we were all in the same room together and
And we're all editing.
everybody's videos were different. It is just so intricate. It's such intricate work that people
Mm,
don't realize goes into any kind of media work really.
exactly. It's just one of those things, like, destigmatize people that go to
Exactly.
college for mass communication.
Exactly. And I don't know, I
It's
didn't really know
it's
what communications was before I decided to be a communications major. I was like, "Well, am I gonna, like, give pep talks for the rest of my life? What am I gonna do?" But then I started taking all of these classes, like you were saying about photography, I'm taking visual rhetoric, and we're learning about how, photos can be used as arguments, and photos can be used to
yes.
change, you know, social issues, and they can be used, like, as political tools and political weapons even, and there's just so many things you learn in this major that people don't think about.
Exactly. There's some like I mean, don't need to beat a dead horse, but there just really is so many small, intricate things that when I left college, I did not think, honest to God, I did not leave being like, I know so much. I left college realizing I know so little. I
Right,
know so, even in the degree that I got, my emphasis of video production, I know so little, so absolutely little. Like there's so much to learn and so many cameras to play with and so many angles, so many color corrections, so many programs, so many devices to get this and that. And it's like there's just a whole different world.
right.
You know, if you come out of college in any degree, honestly, and you're like, I know it all. And I'm like, that means you probably didn't really learn as much as you should have because you should always leave like a doctor, right? It's like a doctor would leave, even like in health, like a health doctor will leave college and be like, oh, yeah, like I know how to do surgery, but there's so much about the human brain body that we don't know. You know,
That
like there's
nobody
so
knows.
much.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the thing when you really know that someone's actually, a little bit educated or at least open minded that you're like, oh, yeah, like you went to college because you're like, I don't know what the fuck I did. I went there for 6 years. I don't know anything.
It's just I
It's like,
mean, when I'm feeling like I know stuff, I'm just, like, I have to keep myself grounded. I just look at, Zach Gershberg or Elizabeth Brunner, and I'm like, "I
oh,
don't
God.
know anything. I am the
Watching
dumbest
Zach
human.
talk, man.
I just" I they're just so incredibly like, they both have written books about,
Mhm.
their own expertises, and it's like, just looking at them, I'm like, "I've been here for 4 years, and I feel like I just got here." Like, I don't know
I
anything.
know.
It is crazy.
Exactly.
Which, like, they're
Yeah,
awesome
it's
teachers. I
just
know I've learned so much, but it's like you go out into the real world and you're like, "I have no idea what I'm doing. I have
yeah,
no
I know.
idea."
Like when you pull up to an ad agency and they're like, "What's a demographic?" and you're like, "Oh, it's this." And they're like, "Okay, cool, but how intricate can you get with it? How can you tell the age, gate? Like, how can you analyze?" And you're like, "Oh my god, I just knew the
Oh,
definition." Yeah,
like, I could tell you on a test, like, what a demographic is, like, mix and match the answers, but I couldn't
yeah.
tell you how to
Actually,
get it.
exactly. That's that whole difference, yo.
It's
Hey,
a
speaking
lot.
since we're on that note too, like because you've been to college now. I guess I'll just ask the question straight up. Do you think I'm gonna dig right into your personal life. Do you think that you were forced to go to college or highly encouraged, or was it more like a go do what you want type of thing?
Oh, I was definitely forced to go to college, for sure. 100%.
Yes,
Not even a
yo.
question. My parents, they it wasn't like, "Oh, take a gap year if you want to." It was, "You're going right now. You don't have a choice." My dad, my junior year of high school, he was like, "Get in the car. We are going to tour colleges." And so we toured colleges everywhere, all around Montana, all around Idaho, Utah, and he was like, "Now pick one. You don't have a choice." And I was like, "All right." And so
Right.
I picked ISU because I I actually ended up going to the Idaho Falls campus my freshman year because I was like, "Hey, if I can get all my gen eds here, I'm just gonna do that." So, which I
Nice.
highly recommend, not gonna lie. If you already live in Idaho Falls, it is so much cheaper. But then
Good.
again, it's a lot more like a lot less college life. But I in some ways I'm glad that I did college right away because, I'm so close to being finished and I'm so close to being in the real world, which is terrifying, but also really lucky. And but in some ways, I kind of wish I would have taken a gap year just so I could have figured out what I want to do in life, a little bit more on my own like path in my own mind. But like I said earlier, I don't think I would have realized I wanted to do journalism as bad as I do if I wouldn't have, been
Ex-
a sociology major and then, went to ISU one day and just happened to meet Zach Gershberg. Like I don't think any of this would have happened. I wouldn't be working for the paper if I hadn't met all these people that I met when I met them. It's just, it's
See,
insane to think about.
it is, and that's exactly what I was asking the question, because I like to ask this question, especially to college students, is do you think college is worth it? And I ask
Right.
everybody that because it's always, well, I didn't really have a choice at the beginning. So, I
Exactly.
was, it's very, it was very, very for, just pushed me growing up, like, go to college, like, go to
Right.
college,
Wasn't an option.
and yeah, it wasn't an option. And so I asked that question, like you said, like, was it worth it? Because yeah, we say, I say the same thing, right? I went into college as a dance major, wanted to do dance, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, switch over to film, love film. And I absolutely love what I do, but was paying, $20,000, $30,000 worth a change of what I want to do in my life.
Right. I
So,
think, I mean, I think about that a lot, obviously, because I'm my senior year and I'm like looking at my like bank account. I'm like, could I have done this without without doing all this? But I think it's different for each person. Like, I think everybody's life has a different path. I think, I have friends from high school that didn't go to college and they're in like adult jobs now and they're climbing the ladder. They're doing stuff like construction and, working for banks and doing all of this cool stuff. But I think for me, so far, I haven't graduated yet, but so far, college is worth it. Um, especially because at ISU, I was lucky enough to get in state tuition. And so, it wasn't like going to Yale or Harvard. And I have a friend that goes
yes,
to
I would
Harvard,
say,
right? And especially because of COVID
wow,
right now, moving back, is it worth it? Like to live in Idaho Falls but
now
do a Harvard education
it's,
online? And I think for
that's
me,
actually interesting.
yeah, I think for me it's worth it. I don't know if it would be worth it to go to an Ivy League right now, but
Right.
yeah.
That's what we say is like, like I'll just ask you, like, if you were to go to college, what would be your advice to actually make college be worth it as much as possible?
Yeah, so I think this sounds super cliche and this is what literally everybody says, but join as many groups and like clubs as you can and just like talk to random people like in your dorm, in classes, walking down the street, in the sub, in the cafeteria. Like talk to as many people as you possibly can because those people are going to be your connections for the rest of your life, like for your future career. I ended up so I took intro to graphic design last semester, last year, the last semester, and I was like, this is really fun. I really like this. It's really cool. And I ran into the Bengal newspaper and I was like, oh, I have graphic design homework to do. So I was doing some graphic design homework and someone mentioned to me that KISU was looking for graphic design help. And I was like, well, I'm just starting. And they were like, well, why don't you just send an email to Jamin Anderson, the director of KISU? And I was like, oh, okay. So I sent him an email and now I do graphic design work for KISU. Like just because I happened to walk into the Bengal office and I happened to talk to our production editor and she happened to know that they had a job opening. And so it's just
Wow.
I think and the exact same thing happened with the Bengal, like I said earlier. I just happened to meet Madison Shumway. But it is especially for just like social reasons, I think it's important to know as many people as you can in college, both for like, career connections and just social life connections. But, going back to your question, I definitely think that it's important to connect with as many people as possible, join as many clubs as possible, get as many on campus jobs as you can handle. It is
Mm,
not only is it important, but it's also so much fun. I think it's a lot of fun.
exactly. And first off, Madison, great human being,
I love
amazing.
her so much.
And,
She's
and
amazing.
second of all, she is. And second of all, yeah, one thing that because I love asking this question, I love, and we could, just even ask some people, would they put their kids through college? Where are they at with it? Stuff like that. But one thing is I've always told myself is like the contacts, right? Meeting people like you and
Right.
other amazing humans and people that go to college. One thing that you can almost agree across the board is everybody there wants to do something with their life. They want to do something
Exactly.
more important or bigger with their life. And so that they're working hard and they want to be something. So it's good to have those contacts and, like you said, mingle and talk and be like, man, like that's great. I've been trying to do YouTube as well. Like we should do a channel together, blah, 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 stuff like that. And so but now you made such a valid point, is when you go to college and there's no clubs and there's no games, there's no, I mean, there's dorm life, but not really, because there's no like, dorm
Right.
get-togethers. And I mean, it's like even
It's
more
hard.
complicated now.
I can't imagine
It's
doing it right
like
now. One of our staff writers
if my
lives in Turner, which is like a really really small
big,
place to live at ISU. It's a really
yeah,
big building, but it's like a very small room for 2 people, and people are being quarantined in their
oh
rooms
yeah,
right now. And so it's like you're quarantined in your room, and the only person you see is your roommate, and you're in
oh my god,
college, and so they send like,
hope
they
y'all are
even send
friends.
food. Exactly, like, you better hope that you guys get along. And they send food to your room, and you do all your classes from home for, like, 2 weeks. So it's just I can't imagine being a freshman right now. I cannot imagine it.
Yeah, see, that's just, I don't. If I had a kid, I'd be like, you go to college. I ain't helping. Good luck.
I
Peace.
know.
Like,
Have
the
fun.
benefits are, you know,
Yeah, and we read an
yeah,
article actually maybe last week, about, freshmen that are, like, missing out on all of the traditions. So at ISU, they do a march through the arch on the first day for all of the freshmen, or I guess it's during orientation. And supposedly, if you don't do march through the arch, you're not gonna graduate. I didn't do march through the arch. Hopefully, I'm gonna graduate.
neither did I. Yo,
But
good to know someone else didn't.
everybody I've talked to about this hasn't done it. So,
Really?
yeah,
Yo,
I haven't met a
I didn't
single
even
person.
know.
I didn't know about it either. I had no
I was
idea.
like a month into it, and someone's like, "Yeah, March." I'm like, "What's that?" And they're like, "You didn't do it? What?"
You
And
didn't
I'm
go?
like, "Oh my god, I didn't see this anywhere." And like, maybe if I
I
read the
didn't get
Bengal
it.
paper, I mean,
Yeah,
like,
honestly, yeah, maybe if you read the paper. But, like, all these
yeah,
freshmen are missing out on all these things, there's no homecoming this year, so they don't get to do all of the homecoming stuff, and, I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen next year, but, like, the incoming freshman class next year will probably have to go through the same stuff, and it sucks, and it's sad because it's so hard for, like, our freshman staff writers to, like, interview people for papers and stuff now because they go out onto their floor and they're like, "All right, well, this person's quarantined, this person's quarantined, this person's quarantined. Like, who can I talk to?" And, like,
yeah.
it's almost putting them in a dangerous situation because you don't want them to, come in contact or decide to go into a room that is quarantined or something, but it's a weird year. It's a really weird year.
It is. It absolutely is. It's just, it sucks to see it. Like, obviously, college is great. You will learn things, but it's just so much more difficult now with
Right,
something like this happening. Like, I mean, think about me. Like, I mean, I used to be a dance major.
right.
Like,
I don't know how
dancing
that
through
would
a
work.
webcam would, I don't know. I have absolutely no idea how that
We
works.
have a theater major. Our, managing editor at the paper is a theater major. And so his online classes are him staring at his webcam and acting into his camera and then sending it to his teacher. Like, so awkward. And he has like a combat class, so like stage combat. So he has to like pretend to do stage combat for his like camera by
Yo,
himself.
right.
It's like worse than improv. It's so cringy. It's horrible.
Yeah, I bet so, yo. Put it on YouTube. It might go viral, you know
There
what
we
I'm
go.
saying?
That's what he should be doing. I should tell him that.
There you
He
go.
might get
Upload
lucky
the
and make it.
content. I love it, yo. I love it. Well, Kaitlyn, I think we covered all the stuff I had. Do you have anything else you'd like to say? Anything to the young college students that are going to be trying to go to college through coronavirus?
I mean, just do your best. I think this is a crazy year, and I also think that it'll be kinda cool to be able to, like, tell their grandchildren one day that they went to college through a pandemic, and they were quarantined in their room and, all this crazy stuff happening, but I don't think so. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's so
I'm
much
so happy
fun.
to have you here. Yeah, it is awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, sharing your wisdom and information, and telling us a little bit about the Bengal, a little bit about yourself.
Oh, yeah, all of my great wisdom.
Like, great wisdom. Don't go to college. No, I'm just playing. Just kidding, kids. Go to college. All right, Kaitlyn, thank you so much for coming on. We love you. Thank you. And we'll catch you all next time.